Hello, everyone. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Roman. Roman is from Germany, but he's living in London right now. So let's see what Roman has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Roman. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm on vacation in Malta. So, yeah, lazy days. I'm good.
Oh my God. Thanks so much for taking the time on your vacation for the interview. Thank you.
Sure.
So, tell me where you're from, Roman.
Okay. Originally, I'm from Germany, but I am married in Sweden. So, technically, I live more in Sweden, but then my company sends me around every 5 years. So, right now, I live in England, London.
Wow. And what do you do for work, for living?
I'm an editor for television. So, for news, reports, documentaries.
Amazing. So, tell me a little bit about your job.
Uh, well, we do news reports, documentaries about England or the UK at the moment. But my company has studios all over the world. So it's a little bit like embassy work. Every 5 years, they send me somewhere else. So before London, I lived in Tokyo 5 years. Before that, I lived 6 years in Sweden. So yeah, every 5 years, somewhere else in the world.
And what's the next stop after London?
I don't know yet. It's still like 3.5 more years there. And I don't know. Then I've been traveling or living around the world really long time that I don't know if I still want to continue doing that. But we have still some interesting studios to work in Asia, or maybe I just go back to Germany. So I don't know yet.
And where's about in Germany you come from?
Hamburg, more or less. Well, I grew up in the south, but then moved to Hamburg. But I cannot really say anymore. My home is Hamburg. I've been living abroad longer than in any city in Germany. So
Wow. I've been in Hamburg twice, actually.
it's a very nice city. I think it's the
Beautiful.
nicest city in Germany. It rains a little bit much, but otherwise it's the best city in Germany to live in.
Amazing. Okay, before we start our journey, Will in the Magic Box, I would you like to tell me something interesting about yourself?
I don't I don't know what's interesting about me or what other people would consider interesting. My work took me to North Korea once. Maybe that's interesting for some people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe that. I do photography. I don't know if that's interesting.
That's for sure.
Okay. Been married for how many years now? 15 years.
15 years. Oh, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. And your husband, he lives as well in London with you?
No, he lives in Sweden, in Stockholm. So he comes over wherever I live. He comes visiting all the time, or he took a year off and was with me in Japan and so on. So
amazing. Okay. Roman, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Okay, let's try.
Amazing. So welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I've got him, my best friend. Full of wonderful questions. I'm just gonna play a song now, just for us to relax a bit before the first question. Okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what is the best gift have you ever received and from whom?
That's a good question. I guess what is the best gift? That always changes a little bit with your age, I guess. If you're like 4 years old, like the Lego train or something is the best gift ever, which today maybe I wouldn't think so. Hard to say. That definitely changes. Well, I would say in general, it is something where that person who gave me the gift put a lot of thought into it, maybe, or is something self-made, or where somebody really went far, be it in distance or making something that that's something I would appreciate very much, and that I value very much. Like a friend, he painted me a picture once that took him a long time, that and really nice one, and so he knew I would like that, what was on it, and yeah, put a lot of effort into that. So for example, something like that, or my husband once, I had a really nice baseball cap that I lost in a storm, and it took him a long time through phone calls and so on. That was from a specific store in the middle of nowhere in the States, to get like a new one from that store. So stuff like that, that people put effort in. So it doesn't need to cost a lot of money or something. Yeah, if somebody puts a thought or effort into it, those things. So I cannot really pin down one specific thing. I guess I'm too old for that.
Amazing. I think those, as you said, thoughtful, gifts, that's what meant the most for us, because as you said, could be they spent some time or they're looking for it. It means something behind. That's the beauty. Good. Next question. Let's do it. Right. Next question for you is, what makes you most proud?
Maybe that I managed to have a lot of good friends around the world, so that despite long distances or even times apart, and that still managed to be very good friends with a lot of them. And you don't need to be best friends to live in the same city or something, and manage to keep that going over many years. So I managed to do that, but many of my friends also managed to do that. So that I would say makes me proud.
Beautiful. And your best friends, they live in Germany, or they live in London, or all over the place?
All over the world. I have it's really, through my travels, I really been everywhere in the world, and I have everywhere really close friends, even though they live far away. And in person, we can maybe not meet as often as we can, but or as often as we want, I mean, but still over decades remained really close friends. And yeah.
Okay, good. Next question. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me what you like the most about your job. What's the biggest joy of it? And the flip side, tell me something that you find very challenging.
Okay. What's great about my job is obviously that it brings me all over the world. I get to travel a lot, and not only travel to certain events like Olympic Games, for example, or your song contest, or I mean, also unpleasant events like natural disasters or something, which is obviously not fun to be there. But in retrospect, when you, after many years, look back at it, it was very valuable life experience to be at these events. That really affect you personally. I would say ultimately in a good way. Even when you're there, it's maybe very bad and hard. But then 10 years later, you feel like it was a valuable experience. But if somebody loves to travel, then of course that's pretty much a dream job, that you get around the world, and not only just for like a day or so. So my company, either they send me somewhere for a long time, so I really have time to discover where I am, or they even let me move there for some years, and then that I can say I really lived in that country and so on. So that's all really great. Downside is, of course, I haven't been really back in Germany for 15 years or so. You can say you start to lose a little bit somewhere where's really your home. That and it gets maybe harder over the years, that every couple of years you start from scratch again in a new city. You don't know anyone, you have to find new friends in that, which that's maybe a downside. You don't see your family as much as you want, or your friends. But then again, I feel like all my friends live around the world, and they are also people who travel and move around quite a lot. So that creates probably a circle of specific friends that understand your situation and the same situation. So it would be hard to be friends, I guess, with all school friends also, who all their life live just in that city where they grew up in. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's such a different lifestyle then in the end. So we don't have that much common ground to talk about anymore. Whereas with my other friends who have, like, let's say, embassy jobs or something similar to mine and live every couple of years somewhere else, that connects us then and keeps us together. So that's maybe, that's a great thing. But in terms of family and that, you have to have a lot of understanding family members or friends, and that's a bit of a downside.
Okay. Next question is, what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, actually, as I work in TV, I don't even have a TV at home. So because I'm like 10 hours, 12 hours a day in front of a TV at work. So I don't feel like I need to watch any TV when I come home. So when it comes to TV shows, I'm pretty far behind. I watch maybe one show at a time. That takes me then 6 months or so I cannot binge watch something or so. And there's also so much that I often, when something comes out and it has good reviews, then I'm still like, I wait if it gets even renewed. Like if it's just one season long, gets canceled after a season, I feel like, why should I even watch that? It was never really finished. So I'm not too much into stuff. I would say in general, I like Star Trek. So I watch the Star Trek shows. And then Dead Ringers, that was on Amazon, I think. That was a mini series. That was only just 6 episodes. That was really good. That was something new I saw with Rachel Weisz. But yeah, I'm not watching reality shows and so on. I don't have time for that and no desire really for that either. So I'd rather go to the movies. That's what I like to do, because there you really sit down, you put your phone away, and you really concentrate for 2 hours on something. But TV shows is too much, to like just time diversion and waste of time, everything.
I'm exactly the same. Going to the cinema for me, it's like a therapy. I go every weekend. I go, for me, I forget about the world. As you said, 2 hours there, I'm, involved in that, moment. And that's my therapy, where I forget about everything what's happening out there. I'm the same, exactly the same. I don't watch series. I mean, I can watch, if I get catch, for some reason, I can watch it. But I don't go for it, actually. I don't have time as well, because I'm always working and doing interviews for the Magic Box, always something doing it. If for you to watch, nothing wrong with that. I think people, they can make time as well for that. But something for me that it doesn't, it's the movies for me as well. Going to the movies is something that I make time for it, That's what I believe. Next question. Let's do it. Right, next question is, if you could be any age, what age would you choose and why?
I'm fine with the age I am in right now. I would say in general, like your mid-30s till mid-40s maybe is the best time. I certainly would not want to be a teenager anymore. I would not want to be, it's maybe even worse, being like in your 20s when you're like an intern, when you learn all this stuff, and even if you study, at some point you have to go to the actual company or some start with interns and so on, and I would say you're quite an idiot at that time, and you just get idiotic jobs to do and that, and you slowly work your way up there in that, and so on. I think that's a really terrible time. Also, you don't have any money in that, so once you really figured out what you want to do and you have the job you wanted and you get good at it and the financial security is there, and that, then you really start being able to enjoy life, I would say. And that's usually, I guess, around the 30s for most people. I would say it was early for me because I knew right away after school what I want to do, and I pursued that, and I was very, very lucky with all those things that every time I got every job I wanted, and then I guess I wasn't the worst intern and so on. So my career went exactly how I wanted it, and so I was always comfortable in those times, and it was, I guess, it went faster than maybe for some other ones, but still I would say in like your 30s, then you really know what you want to do, not only job wise but also in other things, relationships and so on, that like middle 30s maybe is best time.
Aging for you is something that bothers you, or you see as just a matter of life?
No, it doesn't bother me. Well, I guess as long as you're physically healthy, then there's no problem with that. And you just have to go with the flow, so to speak. I guess it gets really hard if you just don't accept that, or that you don't want to change your lifestyle, because eventually you will change it or adjust it. If you always want to be 20, then maybe it gets difficult. But so far I've always been fine with how old I am, how my lifestyle is, and so on, and feel like okay. Or there's this saying like, you're only young once, but if you do it right, then once is enough, so try to always get the most out of it and then continue. So what I'm saying with that, I went to clubs and parties so much in the 20s, then I feel now in 40s I don't need to do that anymore, cover that. So I do other things now in my 40s that I haven't done in my 20s. So you have to do it like that a bit.
Amazing. Ready for another question? Let's do it. Next one. Before the next question, tell me about your experience living in Tokyo, in Japan. Mm-hmm. When you think about, that journey that you lived in Tokyo, in Japan, tell me what's the best memory that comes to your mind?
Yes, Tokyo. I would say the best thing there is how many interesting people you meet and get to know, especially the expat community, all the foreigners who are sent there by other companies and live there for some years. That community is not very big, but usually, so you get to know everyone, at least from seeing, and that is quite nice already. But also you get friends with most of them, and usually all of them have also interesting jobs. So we are all from very different fields, mm-hmm. Be it like there's some military, there's some IT people, there's embassy, there's news and so on, filmmakers and whatever. So it's a fashion a lot. So it's an interesting group of people that I normally would then probably not meet. But we are all in that together. And then also because we know it is difficult to live in Japan. So, I mean, it's a great country, but the culture is ultimately very different. The language is very hard, and often people just get sent there for some years, so you haven't prepared for it really, so you don't speak the language and so on. So we all the expats who have been living there in maybe a year, 2 or 3 years already, and you're new there and so on. So everybody's very helpful to the other ones because we all know how hard it can be. And even if you're not friends with some, if you know this one or that one has problems with whatever, I would say you can call any or talk to any other expat and they would help you. So that's a great community there. And then within that, or in addition to that, are a lot of Japanese people who like to be around foreigners, expats, or they lived abroad, and they also speak English then, and so therefore those are also great friends and very helpful in that. But in general, in Japan, English is not so common, and it's very difficult to make friends then with Japanese who don't speak any English, because your Japanese is then, if you speak Japanese in the beginning, will also be by far not good enough, and the whole lifestyle, and that is so different, the culture is so different, it's really difficult in the beginning. And then some of us there are just like 2 or 3 years. I lived there 5 years, which was already fairly long for a foreigner, because the company just sent you there and then sent you on to Hong Kong or to Singapore and so on. That's usually how it is. It's a city of transit. So that was really great. Besides that, of course, if you are interested in Japan, which I assume you would be if you move there, then it's a great culture. Food is amazing. It's a very safe country to be in. That is very nice. Unless you die in an earthquake, that's maybe not so nice. But as long as nothing happens to you, and these earthquakes there can be very interesting. Luckily I didn't have any disaster sized earthquake, but also cool experiences in a way. And at the same time, it also it can be incredibly frustrating, as so many don't speak English, especially when you have to deal with the city hall or with a hospital and so on. It gets really, really frustrating that even very educated people there don't speak any English, and that also puts into perspective, once you left Japan again, or you think about your home country, how hard it must be for some other foreigners who are there for whatever reasons, and maybe not even on by their own will, let's say, like refugees, and that you have a lot more understanding for these people suddenly, how hard it can be to be in another country that is not only foreign to them, but also they don't speak the language. Let's say German is a very hard language, and then when somebody like, let's say, Ukrainians arrive there suddenly, you cannot expect from them to learn German in an instant, and then how frustrating that must be, and how difficult, and how much it also affects them then. So you learn a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. Right. Next question, please. How long can you go without checking your phone?
How long? Yeah, that's unfortunately a problem through my work, that I'm basically always on call. So in case breaking news happen and so on. That led, unfortunately, over the years, that I check my phone quite a bit. Not only if I got a message or something, but I constantly check news if something is happening and so on. So yeah, that's a little bit a problem. But then when I go to the movies, then I really switch it off, because I don't want to disturb any other people, but also I want to enjoy the movie. And that's the only time. Or if I'm at some sports, let's say I go swimming or so on, where I'm like, okay, for 2 hours a day, I'm not available for my company. So that is, and that's also okay for my company. They know you are maybe swimming or so, you cannot have your phone on your side. But after like 2 hours, I would, like, a movie runtime is okay, but then I really would have to check again if my boss called me and I have to go to work or something. So that can be a little bit. So it became a habit through my work, unfortunately. So
I can understand as well. When I'm working out as well, I'm the same. I have my phone on me because of the music, but I don't check my phone. I don't check my social media. I'm just there for the exercise, for my, it's my time. It's my time of the day, just for me to, again, just be in the moment what I'm doing right now.
Okay. But also when you have friends from all around the world, everybody lives in a different time zone.
I know.
then I get text messages 24/7. So
Wow.
that's also, so at night you have to take your phone and put it far away from your bed so that you're not, and if you wake up accidentally, you check and then, oh yeah, okay, now I have messages from my friends in the States and from my friends in Asia. So, and then you start answering that. So you have to put it away.
Right, I have 3 questions left for you. Let's do
Okay.
it. Next question is, what is the scary thing that happened to you?
When I was little, I don't remember how little, my mom had some kind of accident where we had to call an ambulance. So of course that was pretty scary, I guess, back then. I don't remember too much. And probably in retrospect, it wasn't too much of a problem. I don't think she even had to stay in the hospital. She was back in the evening. I think so. But of course, as a child, that affects you a bit more.
Yeah.
I broke my arm when I was like 17, also was alone at home, but I wouldn't say that scared me all that much. I could still go to the phone and call an ambulance. Probably that is something in retrospect should have been a lot scarier. It could have been really bad because I was all by myself and I fell down the staircase, and I mean, it could have been like an open wound or something, and that would have been really, really bad maybe. So I don't know. At that moment, I wasn't particularly scared, I remember. But yeah, if I look back now, or if that was my son would call me that, I would like, oh my God, how could you? That. So, and then maybe there was a friend of mine I noticed that he didn't answer like my messages for like 2 days, and it was unusual because we would like always chat during the day, and then you're first like, well, okay, he's maybe very busy today, and then I saw the next day my messages were still unread, so that was unusual then, and then you're like, well, maybe he lost his phone or the phone got stolen. So and then like after 3 days, so I just called another friend and was like, have you heard of him? And no, but now that you mentioned, we have plans on the weekend, and strange. So we started sending emails, didn't hear anything. And then it turned out he had a seizure at home, and he was like for like 3 days unconscious at home. So we managed to, one of us was finally like, because we didn't live in the same city, like, okay, we called another friend who lived close to him, like, can you pass by and see if everything is okay? And when he went over, then colleagues of our friend were also there because he didn't show up at work, and they found him at home. They had the janitor open the apartment, and so he was then 2 weeks in a coma, and it was really, that was quite scary, and it was also very frustrating because then of course you're just friends, so the hospital is not allowed to tell you anything, and we didn't know the parents, so it was really like, okay, we know he's now in a hospital, but he's in a coma, and then you just, again, for 2 weeks you don't hear anything.
Wow.
So that was scary, I would say.
But he's okay now. He's okay. I mean,
it's okay now, but it was a long road actually. It took that was quite something. And it took him almost a year to be really fully back with everything. So I mean, that's really, I mean, if everybody had been on vacation or so, he was just lying in the apartment. Like, let's say it was Christmas season where all the offices are closed, so his colleagues would not have noticed, and everybody else is away, so he would have been lying in his apartment for a week or so. So 3 days is already pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So the good thing that came out of that was really like that all of us, we were like, okay, if you haven't heard from us for like 3 days, or this is a friend you should call, or he lives close by, and so it led a little bit to organize it a little bit better what to do in such a case, or just that, again, like a hospital is not allowed to tell you anything, so that you know at least someone you could call where this person would hear answers from the hospital, or would be friends with the parents or so on. Of course, you also don't want that 20 people call the parents all the time, or so you have one person in charge of those things. So that was a good thing that came out of that. I can only recommend that. Make sure you have people that you can call out.
There's always a positive message in the end. There's always something positive comes out of the challenge, for sure. That I believe as well. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Next question for you is, where is the most exotic place have you ever been?
I guess that was North Korea. Yeah, I was there for work for a week, and that was very unusual and very rare to get access. What happens is North Korea needs to invite you that you can come, and they had like one of their 70th anniversary or something, and big parade, and they wanted the press there to report about it. So we got an invitation and we went there for a week. Well, exotic in terms of that it's rare to get there. It was very interesting experience, definitely. It's amazing that a country like that can exist in modern times. Yeah, it was very bizarre. The people there, you see the extreme poverty, of course, and how harsh it is. At the same time, the government tries to show you only the nice parts, and then so Pyongyang looks actually very different than I thought it would. Very interesting architecture. So if you're an architect, it's an interesting place to go. I would still not recommend going. I don't know if tourists right now can go. Sometimes tourists were allowed to. But yeah, architecture-wise, it is interesting. And again, it was a very good life experience to have been there, to experience how strange and how hard the world can be. I don't need to go back. I was quite glad to leave at the end. You really get a bit paranoid that there is surveillance everywhere all the time, and you just hope you haven't done anything wrong, that they keep you now. But also just it is really depressing to see the people suffering there so much, and very touching also. And yeah, I cannot recommend going, but I was glad I had the opportunity to be there. Yeah, and exotic sounds always like something like Hawaii or going to Fiji Islands and that. So exotic is maybe the wrong word for it. It's not an exotic country. It's but exotic in the sense of rare, to get to a very rare place.
I see. Okay, good one. I'm glad this question came up to you. I'm glad. Ready for the last one?
Okay.
Last question, Roman. Let's do it.
No.
Not at all? Oh. Yes, there you go. The German moves. Dun, dun, dun. Before the last question, Roman, as you experienced a lot of, living in different countries, visiting a lot of countries, a lot of different cultures as well. When you think about your home country, Germany, when you think about comparing, your culture where you grew up and also other nationalities, being able to experience different cultures, different nationalities as well. Tell me something, in your opinion, that's the biggest thing about German people that you go like, okay, that's, you just can find in Germany. There's, something special, something different about the German culture or about people that you go like, okay, that's something that I never seen anywhere near the world, or I never experienced this personality or something about the country.
It's very hard. Also because I haven't been in Germany so long anymore. What's very typical for Germans? Germans maybe complain a lot on a very high level. I would say that a lot of Germans don't travel enough or to far away countries that they don't know how good they have it in Germany. I mean, I love Japan and many other. Sweden is a great country and so on. But I would still say Germany is really a very, very great country to live in. It's safe. Everything is taken care of. You have a very good living standard in Germany. Really very good. And a lot of people don't seem to know that and complain a lot. So very often I feel like they should travel more and see how life could be in other countries. Even in other, it doesn't have to be even now some poor, far away countries, even just England now or the States and so on, how hard life in those countries can be actually. We don't have something like that in Germany. So, yeah, they should be maybe a little bit more grateful, or also just a little bit more educated about outside world. So yeah, that's maybe a very, that's a thing that comes up to me or comes to my mind when I hear news from Germany and they complain. Or the same is like in France, they have these endless protests and strikes now that the retirement age is supposed to go a bit higher, and that is really something where I have very little understanding for. I mean, not only compared to other countries in Europe, they still retire earlier than anyone else, but there are other countries you don't retire in other countries. In Japan, basically, you never retire. You work until you're 90 or you're 100 as long as you can. I think that's just very, it's crying on a high level. And I'm sure Germans also complain about that they don't retire with 60, but population gets older. We have less people, less children. So who's supposed to pay for it? And then, in other countries, you don't retire at all. So that's, if Germany would say now they have to raise retirement age, I would not complain about it. I understand it. And also it's still, at least I can retire and not work my whole life. So again, that's like lessons I learned from living abroad so much. And then Germans know how to party with all the Oktoberfest and that's very unique Germany maybe. So that's of course also a good side. And then Germans are very thorough and hardworking, very organized working people, and work-life balance is quite okay. Not as good as in Sweden, maybe. The Swedes or the Scandinavians really know how to keep work and private life balance in check. So that's important. That could be maybe, it's good in Germany too, I would say, but still, they could check how the Scandinavians are doing it to improve that also a bit. But yeah.
Good point. I think actually I had so many people around the world, and I had a few people from a few Germans as well in the world, and I think I remember one of them mentioned about that as well. That Germany is one of the most, let's say, a country, that you have a lot of things, opportunities, a lot of things that you don't find anywhere else, and sometimes they forget, or sometimes they don't understand. As you said, sometimes you need to be a way to understand those things.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, last question for you is, what does money mean to you?
I would say money is not unimportant. Um, and but I don't think you should aspire to be super rich, just dream about being as rich as Kardashians or whatever. I don't think that's a good attitude, of course, and it's not necessary. And that it's more important that, for example, with a job, I know some who do their job only because it's paid very well, because they want to make money, but they hate going to work. And I feel like they're quite miserable, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And my attitude was always, I'd rather do a job that I maybe don't earn as much money as in another job, but I really like to go to work every day. So that fulfills me in the end, or makes my life happier. And I have some really rich friends from Hollywood that make there a lot of money. So yes, that sounds great. They make some millions every year in that, but your problems also multiply with that amount of money. So in the end, I feel like they still have the same problems. If I worry about how to pay off my loan for my apartment, and they have the same problem, or how do I pay off my mansion in Beverly Hills? And it's even on a much larger scale. So the worries multiply with that, because if let's say I'm missing now, let's say 30,000 euros, which for some people is maybe a lot, is really a lot. But I would say, okay, 30,000, I could ask maybe my parents for help, or I could ask some friends and could pay it off somehow. It's still manageable. If you're now in Hollywood, you have your mansion, and you suddenly are short of $3 million, that is a lot harder to organize suddenly. So your worries multiply with that amount of money you have. So it is true, money doesn't make you happy necessarily. So I've sometimes, when I hear these stories from friends there in Hollywood, where I'm really like, oof, that would make me lose sleep if I had to worry, where do I get a couple millions in the next weeks or so, So so money is it's important, but more doesn't necessarily mean they make your life better. And I have one of my closest friends. He basically, I would say, he doesn't have much money, but he doesn't have things. He basically doesn't even have furniture and that. And I feel that is so he doesn't demand anything. He's just happy with having basically nothing, because that also makes him not having to worry about something. And so he's very happy with that. And then he basically just uses the money for daily things like eating and that, and the rest he can put aside. And then whenever he has enough for a nice vacation, he does that and that. But he doesn't think like, oh, I need a better job in that because I want to buy the next PlayStation or whatever. He's totally fine with an easy job, not having any things at home to worry about, or that ultimately maybe create costs, like it breaks and then you have to buy a new one, or you have to repair it and so on. So he's very fine with having basically nothing, just the basic things, a couple of clothes and food. And so you don't necessarily need a lot of money to be happy. So
very good. I love the answer. Very good. Without the jet, let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay? So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Let's start with family.
Friends.
Money,
Security.
love,
Um, exists in many ways.
life,
Fun.
sex,
Unimportant.
politics,
Frustrating.
religion,
Idiotic.
fear,
What would be the word? Challenge.
friendship,
Is invaluable the right word? I would say you cannot put a price tag on it. So it's very important. Friendship important.
okay? Desire,
Stupid.
regret,
Important.
success,
Nice.
wish,
Wish.
yep,
Good. It's good to
Okay.
have wishes.
happiness, one word,
Self-love.
one word for Japan,
Crazy.
one word for London,
Disappointing.
one word for Germany,
Good.
good. And the last one now, photography, one word,
Creativity.
okay? Let's pretend I'm going to meet your husband for a coffee and I'm going to ask him, define Roman in one positive word and one negative word only, what he would say.
In one word, that's caring
Okay,
and obsessing.
obsessing.
Yeah.
What's your star sign?
Scorpio.
I knew it because I am Scorpio as well. When you said that, I said, okay, I'm sure he's Scorpio. Which day?
21st of November.
I'm 17th of November.
Just needed one more day extra for Scorpion.
Wow. Oh, beautiful. Let's play now, Roman and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, you can ask me a question now.
Who you want to have on this show? Let's say on, yeah, or who in general. Doesn't need to be a famous person. So.
Okay. The first person who came to my mind when you asked that is Prince William. I would love to have Prince William on the show. I think, I would love to always, actually, we were born the same year, he and him, but he's older. He's from June and I'm November, but we are both from 1982. Yeah, I would love to have him on the show to talk about, his life, about his mom, about, the way he lives, about random things as well. Actually, I'd love to do like a random questions with him, like without, those random questions that people don't ask, interviews, just in the Magic Box. I think I'd love to hear him those very random questions to see his point of views in life. I think it would be interesting to have him here for sure. One day he will. Did you enjoy the interview, Roman?
Yes, was fun, was nice.
Thank you so much for taking the time. My God, on your holidays, vacation in Malta, and you took the time for the interview. What a pleasure. Thanks so much. Very sweet of you. Very sweet.
You're very welcome. It was fun. Vacations are also there to have time for new things.
Amazing. So. Amazing. I'm glad that you include the Magic Box on your vacation bag.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. But before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I feel like I just repeat myself. So, enjoy the what's that in English again? At what part of your life you're in, like age you're right now, or also it doesn't need to be also age. Like let's say you go through different. Okay, first you are a child, but then later you are maybe a parent. So there's the in between, or you retire and that. So always enjoy that time. Look forward to the new challenge that's coming, or be it a new job and so on. So all those things. So it's good to have every couple of years something new, and don't be afraid of trying out new things. And I mean, like moving to other countries is always a bit scary and a big step, but it's always been worthwhile. So if some opportunity arises, go for it. You have nothing to lose. You will rather regret later you haven't tried it. So it's better to try and fail than not trying even, and then looking back later and thinking what would have been if I had done this. So yeah, that is something I can recommend very much.
Amazing. And I'm sure you know what you're talking about, for sure. Thank you so much. My God, and I see you in London sometime, and you are here. We are in London as well. So thank you so much, and enjoy your holidays. Carry on enjoying. Okay? Keep in touch.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.